Hello all my viewers. Welcome to the third video of OIM UI customization using ADF. This video is a continuation of project 1. In the previous video, we have done the basic UI build, and in this video, I will be creating the backend process of that UI. So let's get started. So here we left in the previous video. In the previous video, we built the basic UI components here. We created a task flow, then we created the view onto the task flow. We added many activities here and we link those activities. So this creates the basic UI. Now I will be adding the backend controller of this application. So now the task flow can only read managed bin. Now managed bin is nothing but a Java class. So what we will be doing here, first we will create a Java class, then we will add that Java class as a managed bin into the task flow. Now the task flow components will communicate with that Java class and Java class will perform the activities. So let's first create Java class for this task flow. So in the view controller, right click on new, then select Java from the category left side and then select Java class. Click OK. Now you can give some package name here. So we can give some package name like OIM test.mbeans. Okay, something like that. And then you give the name of the class. Let's say, for example, create bin. Okay, click OK. So this will create a Java file here. Okay, now I will also add one more Java class here. Which I will be using as a OIM utility. For example, the connection of OIM and OIM APIs for creating identities and also. So let's give a name like OIM utils. And I will keep that Java class under the same package. Okay. Now we have created these. We have created two Java files here. So now this create bin.java I will be used as a managed bin for the task flow that I have created. In order to add this Java file as a task flow, go to the task flow XML files. Okay. And here go to the overview tab. In the overview tab, the option managed bin you have to click and then you can add the managed bin. So give a name of the managed bin, for example, create bin. So I prefer to give the name of the bin as per the class file name or the Java file name. Okay, and then you have to enter the fully qualified class name. It's view.oim.test.mbeans.createBin. Okay, now you have to select the scope. You have to select the scope as page flow. So there are many other scopes you can see in this drop down, but you have to select the page flow. The page flow scope, it only work under the task flow material. Okay, so in the task flow you have a lot of pages, so navigating from one page to another. Okay, and this navigation will flow your data from one page to another, and for this you have to select the scope as a page flow scope. You also have another flow called the backing bin. The backing bin flow we can only use in the OIM customization, where we will be customizing a form like application form, catalog form. In that time we will be using the backing bin scope, but for now we have to use the page flow scope. Okay, click on save. So now this create bin.java is added as a managed bin into the task flow. Now what we will do, Let's open the create new user JSSF page. So in the create new user JSSF page, we have these fields. So the objective is when someone will enter the first name, this first name will transfer, or this first name will flow to the Java code. All the field details will flow to the Java code. And then once we click on the create button, it will trigger an action from the Java code and it will perform the activities. Okay, so let's first bind these fields with the Java code. Okay, so for that, first we'll go to the Java code and we will create the same number of variables as we can see here in the fields. So we have first name, last name, manager, user type, and country. So we'll be creating the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 variables into the create bin.java. So let's create this 5 variable. And we took all these variable as string. Okay, it's the first name, last name, manager, user type, country. Okay, then let's go to the create confirmation page where we also have two fields, status and user login. Okay, so the status and user login also we have to bind with the Java code. So create two more variables, like private string status and private string user login. Okay, so now once these variables are created, we have to create the accessor of these variables, means the setter and getter methods. Unless you create the setter and getter methods for all these variables, this will not going to work, because these variables will be bind with the fields in the JSSF page, and these fields can set the variables and get the variables from this Java code. So you have to generate accessor. So for that, you right click on any of these field, let's say for first name, and click on generate accessor, and you can see all the field names are listed here. So you select all. Okay, for all these variables we will be creating the accessors. Now click OK. So as you can see, all setter getter methods are created. Okay, now these variables are created. Now we have to bind this variable with the field. Now open the JSFF page. Okay, select the first name, and in the right hand side from the properties window, this is the see the value. Okay, so value field is empty. So now click on this small arrow in the right hand side and click on expression builder. Now from here you have to select your bin, your own managed bin. Okay, so the managed bin that you have created is located under the ADF managed bin. Then you select page flow scope, because the type of the bin was page flow scope, and then you can see your bin, the create bin that you have added in this task flow. If you expand that, you will see all the variables, okay, which does have the setter and getter method. And from here you select the first name, it will build the expression for you like this. Okay, now click OK. So now as you can see, this field is bind with the first name variable in the Java code. So now when you enter some data here, this value will be set onto the variable in the Java code. So now for that, you have to set a property called auto submit. This auto submit you have to set to true. So now what is auto submit? If someone is entering some value in the first name field, okay, so once you enter, automatically the value will be stored into the variable. If you don't select auto submit to true, unless you have some trigger, okay, like button press or something happen, this value will not going to set into the variable. So you have to set auto submit for all of your input fields here. So similarly, you have to add for the others. Now the best way to do it quickly, go to the XML page. Okay. And if you see the XML page, the input text first name, it has a value with this expression. Okay. So now copy this and then paste it here and change the first name with last name. And similarly for manager, similarly for the user type, and for country. Okay, so now for all of your fields are bind with the variables that we created in the Java file. Now similarly we have to do it for the create confirmation page. I go to the source, then in the input text I select and add the property value and change this expression with status, and here change the expression with user login. None. So all your fields are now bind with the Java variables. Now let's say that when someone will click on this create button, okay, it should perform some activity. Now we have all the variables. Now if I click on the create button, it should trigger some method, and that method will get or collect the values from this field and it will create the identity for me. So to do this, you select the create button, and then this button should have a listener, action listener. There is a property called action listener under the properties window. So you have to create an action listener method. So to do this, click on the arrow here, click on edit. From the manage bin drop down, you have to select your proper manage bin where you want to create your method. And then if you click on new here, because you don't have any method right now, click new and give a name. So for me, I give create AL. AL stands for action listener, so you can give any name. So I try to maintain the format here always. So click OK, done. So now once I create this method, if I go back to the create bin Java class, go underneath, I can see a method gets created. Okay, and this is an action event method. So this method will be triggered once someone will click onto that button. Okay, and here I will write down my own Java code. Okay, so let's write down the code. Okay, so now what I will do, once this method is triggered, so in that time I have all my variables are set. Okay, so I will get the value from each variable, and then I will call the create user method, and that will create my identity in OIM. So to do this, I have created already an OIM util Java file. Okay, so here I will add all my OIM related Java codes. I have already prepared some codes previously. Okay, so because just to speed up the process here, because I don't want to explain all these codes here, so I'm just copying the code and I will paste it here. So the first method I created, this is for connecting OIM, so it's an OIM client class. Okay, and then I have a method that I've created for creating an identity. Okay, and I'm just copying and pasting all of this here. Okay, me reformat. Okay, so here I have under OIM utils, I have two methods. One is the creating OIM client, and another one is to create an identity. This create identity method takes first name, last name, role, which is user type, country, and mobile number. I don't need that because I haven't created any field for entering mobile number, and that's it. Okay, so let me also remove it from here. And here I set the organization default. Okay, so the default means the ABC enterprise, that the organization I have already discussed in the project description, that through this interface or through this application, someone will be able to create identity under organization ABC enterprise. Okay, so for that reason I have fixed that value here. So you can make it variable, or you can also add this value to be field entered, or into this create new user page, you can add the organization field and you can pass the value from there. So for now, in this example and this project, I have fixed this value here. So this is the organization code. I took it from OIM and I am passing it here as a long value. Okay, so once I will create or call this method, I need to pass these values. Okay, so what I will do, go back to the create bin page. Here I will just simply instantiate the class new OIM utils, and then dot create user, and here I have to pass 1, 2, 3, 4 values. Okay, so let's get, so we have the setter and getter method. Okay, so once someone entered into the form in the create new user JSFF, okay, so the form value will be immediately set in this Java code. Now through the getter method, I will be able to get the value entered by the user. Okay, get last name. So all these methods are here, created by the accessors. Now the role is get user type, and then get country. Okay, and now we have to add the try catch block for this particular method. So I'm surrounding this method with a try catch. Okay, done. So now once you create this identity, okay, it will return you, because the way I have created the this method, it will return you the user login. Okay, so once this method will be called by your create bin, okay, the users will be created and the user login will be returned by the method. So I will capture the user login somehow here, like this, and then once I get the user login, I will set this user login as a field value for the next confirmation page. Okay, so what I will do, I will set it for user login and I will pass this string value here. Okay, so once I set the user login, and the page will navigate the requester to the confirmation page. In the confirmation page, the requester will be able to see the user login here. Okay, and also we have to put the status. Okay, so to do the status, I can assume if my user creation is successful here, then means if this line is executed properly, okay, then it is a successful scenario. Then I can set the status as successful. Now if something went wrong or if something goes wrong, then from this line, oh sorry, okay, from this line it will come to the try catch block. Okay, so if the codes comes to the catch block, then I would assume that there are some mistakes happen or some problem occurred, so the user creation is not successful. Then what I will do, I will set the status with error message, like error, and then I will print the small exception message e.getMessage. Okay, so in that scenario my user login will be set as null. Okay, so what I can do is set user login as empty value. Okay, so far my action is been created. So now if I go back to the create user JSF page, if someone click on the create button, it will create the identity in OIM and it will take the requester to the next page where they can see the status and the newly created user login. Okay, now let's configure the cancel button. What if someone click on the cancel button? If someone click on the cancel button, the control will redirect the requester to the home page. But if let's say for example someone entered already some value here, but this value will be still under this page, and this value will be still stored into these Java variables. So we need to clear out the Java variables in that occasion. So if someone click on cancel, go back to the home page, okay, all these variables should be empty. That means if someone comes back again in that same session, they should not see whatever they entered previously. Okay, so every time they click on the new user creation, they will come into the blank form where there will be nothing entered. Okay, so to do this, what I will do here, first of all, I have to create another action listener method for this cancel button. I select the create bin and here cancel AL. Now I go back to the create bin. The cancel action listener has been added here. Now I create one more extra method. Let's say private void clear fields. So here what I will do, I will set all the variables to null. Okay. And similarly for the confirmation page as well, we had two fields. That field also we need to set to null. Okay. So far we have done with this method, and now I will call this method from here. Okay, so now once someone click on the cancel button, it will first clear all this field and then it will redirect the requester to the home page. Okay, so I found out later on that I have missed the manager details entry into my create users method. So I have added this manager key manager details entry here while creating the identities into this create user method. So if I go to the create bin, so here in the create user I have to pass the manager name as well. Okay, so let's get manager. So now we are almost done with the backend process. Now let's go to the create confirmation page, and here once the create users is successful or create user is done, so it will show the message with the status that what is it, and then you have another button, the close button. So if we click on the close button, it should also clear all the field details and it will redirect the requester to the home page. So we have already created the redirection from this button. Now we will add another action listener which will clear out all the input fields. Let's say close AL, click OK. And if I go to the create bin, I also have to call this method. Okay. Okay. Now my backend controller is done. So now what we will do, the next step, we will build the project. Okay. So I select the view controller project, I right click onto it, I click on deploy, and then I will select ADF, whatever the application name I have given, ADF leave test OIM tile application 1.jar. We have already prepared the deployment profile in the first video. Okay, and that deployment profile will create the ADF library jar as an output of this project. Okay. So if I go to the deployment, you will see the deployment log, that deployment has been finished, and this is the location where your jar file is created. Okay, so if I go to this location till this deploy, okay, so I can see that the jar file, the ADF library jar file, is now created here. So far we developed the backend functionality of that applications. We already developed the UI of the applications, and we also built our project here which created the ADF library jar files. So in the next video I will be covering that how we will be deploying this jar into OIM and how we create the tile applications into OIM self-service interface and link this task flow with the tile. Stay tuned for my next video. Thank you.